So growing up, I had a pretty decent life. You know, I was in an average family, a single parent mom, brother, sister, went through school, did pretty good grades. I wasn't into the cheerleading or the sports or that sort of thing, but I hung out with all those people. My goal was I wanted to have a career when I graduated as a secretary, and just like my mom, who worked for the House of Representatives at the time. So I shadowed her at work one day, and I really decided I liked this. So when I got to high school, I started a program called Office Education Association, and I decided I wanted to try this. So you work half a day, you go to school half a day. I started the program. I worked for the Social Security Administration, and I really liked it. They decided they wanted to hire me, and so at age 18, I graduated, got my first apartment. I did meet somebody, and we eventually moved in together right before that, so life was going pretty well, and I had a really average life growing up, pretty typical. So my mom helped me get a fresh start, and I moved from Iowa to Bellevue in 1989, and I got a pretty decent job, Pierce County Housing Authority. I got an apartment of my own, met a guy, we moved in together. Things were going really well. He started being abusive, and I was reliving the past from the other domestic violence. It was pretty depressing. One night he was really abusive, and he was beating me pretty severely. And so I went to the manager scared to death. The manager shows up with a gun, shoots him 7 times right in front of me, and he kills him. And from that moment on, my life started spiraling downhill. Over the next 10 years, I ended up in jail. I can't tell you how many times. I was in prison twice. I started doing methamphetamine after the alcohol. I started selling it to survive. I ended up, in prison twice for about 4 years for the delivery of meth. The first time I got out, I went back again within 10 years. I started right back into meth. On top of that, I started gambling. Every penny I went to that, and I was homeless. I landed back in prison again, got out, and then I had a counselor in prison who helped me get out, and I was in this shelter called the Women's Program at the Union Gospel Mission. That was my life-saving grace. So while I was at this program, Valley Cities was coming in. They had counselors coming in, and I met this wonderful counselor named Rachel. She met with me every week. She let me talk about my trauma. She didn't judge me. She was, Rachel and I continued to work at the shelter, and I started coming into the office here at Valley Cities, and Valley Cities started helping me with employment services, mental health counseling, trauma help, like anxiety. I suffered from all those things, and they stood alongside me unconditionally with no judgment, walked me through how to get well. Next thing you know, I'm working with another amazing man called Mike Till, Employment Services. He starts working with me on building a resume. I start doing interviews. I do cold calls. I went from Rachel, she left, to another counselor called Crystal, who was super amazing. She started doing cold calls with me to do interviews because I thought there was no hope in getting work. And so we started calling places and asking, would you hire me with all my criminal history? And they said, yes, all you need to do is this, this, and this. And I worked with Crystal for the next 5 to 7 years, and ended up getting a job as a forensic peer counselor. And it was actually a position that you need a criminal history, so I had hope for the first time, and Valley Cities gave me that hope, and I just never thought I'd get there, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. So I'm working as a forensic peer, and I'm still working with my counselor. She and the Valley Cities taught me there's hope, people care, unconditional love. I learned all these amazing boundaries, all these skills so that I could cope. I was doing so well. I have 12 years of recovery today, no substances for 12 years. I have anxiety still, but I have so many coping skills. I don't really need the therapy anymore thanks to Valley Cities. I decided to go back to school, and I just finished my degree, my master's degree as counseling psychology. Actually took my final test just July, and I walk across that stage on October 22nd. Now I get to show others there's hope, no matter how deep, dark place you're in. There's always hope, and now, thanks to Valley Cities, I have a wonderful life and fulfilled all my dreams. So now I'm actually an employee of Valley Cities, and I have the best job in the world. I get to do what I love. I get to see people grow. I know I'm sitting here kind of in tears, but it's tears of joy. I get to give back today, and every day I model what recovery is for my clients, and I get to watch people graduate every day from drug and alcohol treatment. They learn all the skills they need to for recovery. I share my story to give them hope. I actually just left a group a few minutes ago. Somebody said they can't imagine being in recovery 20 years, so I shared a little bit of my story. I don't do that a lot, but when it's hopeful, I do. I have the best team in the world. I get to do the things I love. Valley Cities is extremely supportive. They let me work on Saturdays, which they've never done for anybody before, while I did my internship. They give me hope. They've always walked alongside me. Now I have a team of people that I get to hand off and give 50 hours of, face-to-face hours, show them there's hope. People that are coming out of substance use, now I let them become CDPs under me. And there's no better job and no more rewarding work than this. And Valley Cities has supported me from the first day, and they still do every day. So when I released from prison, I released to a faith-based program, through the Union Gospel Mission. And before that, I went to church every Sunday. Mom didn't go with me, but she made the kids go. And so, I knew a little bit about God, but before I got out of prison, I really wasn't, much into God. And I'll be honest, when I went to the mission, I told them don't push God on me and religion on me. But without God, when I let Jesus into my heart, that was the first time I started really healing. And so I learned about, morals and values and judgment and unconditional love and treat your neighbor as yourself. And those are all the things that got me through, is because I had the support from that community that I didn't have through my addiction. And they showed me unconditional love, my faith, my prayer, reading the word, all those things taught me, it just taught me something new. Like, it opened my heart.